Hey everyone, welcome back to another stimulus check update video. In today's video, we are going to cover the breaking news that's out there that a plethora of YouTubers, including myself, are going to be covering. However, I have already noticed a little trend very early on that people are not mentioning the bad news that's associated with this good news. So this news is good. However, I don't want you all to get your hopes up too much because there are other things that have to happen for this proposal to move forward. This is simply a proposal. This is a guarantee that anything is going to happen. How many proposals have we seen thus far since the CARES Act? I haven't even counted, but there have been many proposals that never even made it to the floor or became a bill. And then we've seen 3 bills go up for a vote: the HEROES Act, the HEALS Act, and the last skinny stimulus proposal that went, and neither of them really went anywhere with the exception of the HEROES Act that passed the House, made it nowhere within the Senate. So let's go straight into what this is all about. Right now, this new proposal that is coming forward that has been unveiled is by a bipartisan group named the Problem Solvers Caucus. And apparently what the Problem Solvers Caucus is supposed to do is to try to get to a middle ground between both the Republicans and the Democrats, submit a bill, a proposal to end up on the floor to go for a vote so that it can be passed quickly. This one may not take that path. We'll get to that. So let's go straight into what this proposal includes, because that's what a lot of you are here for. So I want to give you that information. But please don't run away, because we have to dissect what this actually means, because this may not happen. So this new proposal includes, or I should say calls for, another $1.523 trillion in new spending, and it could be increased for up to $400 million. So basically getting close to that $2 trillion threshold. Remember, Pelosi stated that the Democrats are willing to come down to $2.2 trillion. Will they be willing to negotiate this far down? It's close to $2 trillion. Will they be willing to come down to almost $2 trillion, 1.93? Well, right now it's 1.523 with an additional possibly $400 billion in February and March, depending on where the country is. So there's a big caveat to that. Will they be willing? We'll get into that later on in this video. Let's get into the details of the package, what this proposes. So $100 billion to healthcare programs, including $25 billion for the illness testing and contact tracing. It would provide another $500 billion for state and local governments, so funding for them for the lost revenue that they've been experiencing due to the pandemic, and provide an additional $145 billion for schools and child care, $15 billion for the U.S. Postal Service, $290 billion for small businesses, and this includes another round of the PPP program, which I will say Paycheck Protection Program, the very popular program. It also includes $400 million to help states bolster the November elections. Now, here's the news that a lot of you really care about, and what everyone is calling is great news, because this is great news. Stimulus checks have returned. They have returned in a proposal. Remember, the skinny bill completely got rid of it, did not include stimulus checks. Why? Because they're trying to keep the spending limited. Any new spending limited. So this one has stimulus checks. So this calls for another round of $1,200 direct payments to individuals under that income threshold. I'm not going to go into those details because we are very familiar with what those thresholds are, and this article that I am reading from does not have the thresholds, but I said it so much that I do remember it. With an additional $500 per child. I don't see a cap on that, so I will have to look into those details. Not sure if it's going to limit how many children you can claim, as we have seen in all of the previous proposals, while extending the federal eviction moratorium, which is very important, and also providing rental assistance up to $25 billion. Here is another very important point that a lot of you are looking for news on, and that is the unemployment benefit that boost from the federal government. So under this proposal, that boost will be at $450 per week, which is more than the $300 per week that is currently going on through Trump's executive order that he took the action and said, you know what, since Congress can't figure it out, let me reappropriate funding to get something to the people while they wait for you all to figure out what you all need to figure out to get a bill passed. So $450 per week right now for 8 weeks. And after those 8 weeks, it could possibly go up to $600 per week. And I believe that's for up to 5 weeks. However, with the caveat that they want to make sure that it is capped so that you don't get paid more than you were being paid before the pandemic happened. So they are trying to fix that little issue that they were having. Now, there are so those are the main points in this proposal, and this has a lot of things that both parties could support. Now, let's get into the bad news, because this is really good news. It seems like, it seems this is something that's going to move forward. It has bipartisan support. This is something that both parties have been negotiating with their representatives within this bipartisan group. Will it pass? So immediately before I got into all of that information, reading through this particular article by CNN, and I will drop the link below so that you all can read it. And this is interesting because CNN is all about getting into a little bit of politics here, and just a little bit. They tend to support the Democrats more. And I'm done. Let's go into some of what's being said. So first off, before you get into all of that detail, I had to read this statement. It says, 8 House Democrat committee chairs released a statement Tuesday rejecting the proposal, saying it falls short of what is needed to save lives and boost the economy. But we have people stating that this is amazing news. It is good news. It's a good proposal. But this is the bad news right here. So the statement continues. When it comes to bolstering the public health system, supporting state and local governments, and assisting struggling families, the problem solver's proposal leaves too many needs unmet. With the general election just 49 days away and the Postal Service sabotaged by the Trump administration, their proposal also abandons our responsibility to protect the life of our democracy. This is what the statement said. Now let's move on to a Democrat, a representative, who is speaking out about what is happening. This is Representative Max Rose, who is a freshman from New York, and he reacted angrily after top Democrats rejected the proposal. So this is his statements. And he said, "You saw all the reasons why people hate politics." He continues, "Because they are rejecting a bold bipartisan measure outright and insinuating things are not in there when they actually are, and just continuing to kick the can down the road over and over and over again. It's deeply frustrating." So he was asked specifically about his party's leadership, and this is what he had to say. "It's a charade. It's stupid." So he pointed to how Republicans in the group got behind funding for state and local governments within the package. And as I mentioned earlier, it was for $500 billion. And he continues to state this. "Then the first thing you do is you come out and you say, here's why we reject it outright. No wonder everyone's so frustrated and they don't think politicians care. It's ridiculous, man." He also added, "It made me disappointed to be a Democrat." So here we are. People are clearly frustrated. We have a Democrat speaking out about what's actually going on. This proposal that came out, which seems to be really, really great. It seems to hit a lot of the points or get very close. It moves even closer to where they want to be. And we're still getting a hard no. So let's get on to what happened during a private conference call with House Democrats on Tuesday morning. So this is what's stated. Pelosi remained firm in the negotiating position she's held up to this point that scaling back the party's position on stimulus talks is a non-starter. Remember, $1.523 trillion with the option come February and March to spend an additional $400 billion. Basically, if it is needed, we will give more funding approach. But this is what Pelosi apparently stated. Pelosi also dismissed the effort by the bipartisan group of rank and file lawmakers to craft their own stimulus package, saying it does not go far enough. At one point, she appeared to refer to it as a Republican bill, according to two members on the call. Representative Tom Reed, a New York Republican who is also a co-chairman of the caucus, acknowledged that leadership will be in charge of negotiating any final package, saying, "We do not step into the roles of being the final negotiators in this package. That is left to our leadership, that is left to the Senate, the House, and the White House. But what we wanted to demonstrate is that it can be done." That statement right there is very loaded. That states right there that this proposal, this package that they are presenting, it is dependent upon the leadership in the House, in the Senate, and the White House to get this passed. So although this is amazing breaking news that stimulus checks have returned, this does not mean that this will actually happen. Why? Because the leadership has to pass it. And as I just read, Pelosi is not for this bill. She has called for the House to remain in session until they pass another stimulus bill. But they do have something that they can begin to work with, and it has already met, this is not going to happen. So, guys, this is not looking very, very good because the Democratic leaders are continuing to call for a larger bill in the $2 trillion range. I mean, how close can we get? How much closer can we get to $2 trillion? And they're still calling for even more. I guess 2.2 trillion is the floor, and that's it. They're not going any lower than that. So Pelosi also urged her caucus not to be a cheap date, according to a source on the call. Like, this is becoming ridiculous. Clearly the election is upcoming. It's in a couple of months. November is right around the corner. And at this point, it's looking like it doesn't matter what proposal is coming forward. There's going to be a reason for the Democrats to say no. Based on what this article presents to us right now, all of this great news, exciting news about another stimulus check coming, please, let's tune it down. There is some good news. There's another proposal on the floor, and that proposal does include another round of stimulus checks. It does include an increase on the $300 weekly payment for unemployment insurance to $450 for 8 weeks, and then that can increase to $600. So there is more funding that can go out to the people. However, we have to let this play out, and let's not get too excited right away. Let's let it play out. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it even makes it to the floor for a vote. And granted, we already have hard pushback from 8 Democratic leaders. I don't know who exactly they are, but we already are seeing pushback on what appears to be a pretty well-rounded and negotiated proposal that could be presented. So guys, this video is a little bit longer, but I think it is warranted based on all the information that is available right now. So with that said, I will, of course, always keep a close eye out on these things and report things that I feel is needed to be reported to you all. With that, if you do enjoy receiving content from this channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video for the YouTube algorithm. The YouTube algorithm really likes it when people like the video. And also, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking about all of this mess that is going on. And thank you to all of you who continue to watch my videos as it relates to stimulus checks. Feel free to watch my other videos because, let's be frank, stimulus checks won't happen for forever. So feel free to watch those. I'm very happy for anyone who watches any of my videos. Anyway, thank you all. I will see you all in the next video.